bank. Whenever application is received from the applicant, issuing bank scrutinize the applicant's documents, whether these documents are according to the requirement of the issuing bank, according to the requirement of the local law, according to the requirement of the regulatory guidelines or statutory guidelines, and if there is no harmful elements, that is violating elements of TBML and CFT issues, all these will be scrutinized in the issuing bank counter first. Thereafter, issuing bank will go for what? That whether the documents are, what I can say, charges, commission funds, or credit availabilities available in the issuing bank's counter. So if the issuing bank finds everything is fine, then it issues the letter of credit. So whenever it issues the letter of credit, it must use a vehicle or medium to where? To reach the letter of credit to the beneficiary, who will perform under that letter of credit or credit. Therefore, an advising bank is needed. Suppose there are what I can say, many banks in China, and there are China is a huge country. We have few correspondent relationships. Suppose Bank Asia. Bank Asia must not have relationship or correspondence relationship or RMA relationship with all banks. In the scenario of China, it might have RMA relationship with some specific banks. So, if it has to advise a letter of credit or route through a letter of credit to the beneficiary of China, it must take the recourse of an advising bank that has a relationship management arrangement with Bank Asia. So this is, then it chooses the bank. Suppose Citibank NA is available or Bank of China is available all over China. So whenever Bank Asia issues a letter of credit, it will choose Bank of China first because it has a lot of branches. Though beneficiary might be in a remote area, remote region, Bank of China, through its own route, may chase the beneficiary and find out and then advise the letter of credit. So, advising bank will advise the letter of credit. How? And how? What are the measures of advising bank? These all are written in this article. First of all, advising bank, when it receives the request from the issuing bank for advising a letter of credit, or whenever it downloads the message or sees the message in its Swift template, it first scrutinizes for what? For apparent authenticity of the message, that it has come to the advising bank from an authentic source, reliable source. And that is, I have already told that our relationship management agreement, the bank has a relationship management agreement with that bank. That is called authenticity, that it is authentic and specific, routed through specific authentic lines and with authentic message type. Just a letter of credit is authentic message type of MT 701, or if it is an advising letter of credit, that's 7107. If there is third advising or fourth advising bank or second advising bank, then there might be further course of what I can say, Swift template. So, however the template or whatever the template is, the advising bank must satisfy itself as to the apparent authenticity, that it has come from an authentic source. And advising bank also or must reflect that in its advice the accurate terms and conditions. That is, advising bank has received a letter of credit from the issuing bank. It may change the terms and conditions through Swift templates, through its software, but it must not do it. It will advise the whole word as it is, it has received from the issuing bank. Advising bank has no right to any change or alter of the contents of the letter of credit. But it must secure that the letter of credit does not contain any adverse comment, reflection, or clauses that is subversive to the state law, TBML rules, or some other statutory guidelines all over the world, or FATF guidelines. So advising banks functions are mainly to seek the or confirm the apparent authenticity of the letter of credit that it has received at its counter, and to see the terms and conditions for non-violating clauses or phrases in that letter of credit. Those are subversive to state law or FATF rules or some other guidelines of TBML and CFT. Advising bank will advise the credit, though there may be requests that add confirmation or may add from the issuing bank. It is not the responsibility of the advising bank to confirm that letter of credit. It is the choice whether that advising bank will confirm that letter of credit or not confirm that letter of credit. It is its choice. So it will advise the letter of credit without confirmation. Of course, if primary arrangement is made with that advising bank, that it will advise the credit with confirmation. And if it pre-agreed that it will act as a confirming bank, then it will advise the credit with its own confirmation. With its own confirmation. The confirmation message must be in a separate one, and the original credit will be reflected in its advice, as we have told already. If the first advising bank cannot authenticate the beneficiary or locate the beneficiary, where the beneficiary is, then advising bank must go for second advising bank or may go for second advising. But if the first advising bank is unable to advise, it may so inform the issuing bank that it is unable to advise the credit, and it will seek the recourse. What should it do? And seek further guidance from issuing bank what it should do. But if as further arrangement, I have already told you that Bank of China is a large bank in China. Whenever Bank of China receives a letter of credit for advising from Bank Asia, though Bank of China may not have branches in some remote region, it will seek the recourse of other bank which has relationship with that Bank of China to advise the credit. So Bank Asia's responsibility of advising the credit was conferred on that Bank of China, and it is whenever it consented that it will advise, it is then Bank of China's responsibility to find out the route how it will advise. But whoever the second advising bank must further authenticate the source from which it has received the letter of credit. That is, however stages, first advising, second advising, maybe third advising bank, in all stages, the apparent authenticity of the credit must be checked and its content for only subversive or harmful contents, elements must be checked before advising. If an advising bank advises a letter of credit, then issuing bank must route the amendment and further correspondence through that advising bank. So it is for the uniformity, because from the bank from which the beneficiary received the letter of credit, usually it is accustomed with that bank, and in maximum cases that bank is the bank of the beneficiary. So ideally the situation is like that. Whenever issuing bank advises a credit through a bank, through a nominated bank or advising bank, then issuing bank must route all other correspondences including amendments through that similar advising.